巴菲特亲口认错，我们为卡夫多付了50亿美元。但问题远不止价格，传统消费品牌的护城河正在被亚马逊和 Costco 悄悄填平。巴菲特坦诚伯克希尔在卡夫亨氏交易中卡夫部分支付过高，相当于多掏了50亿美元。但他强调，卡夫亨氏本身仍是优质业务，拥有约60亿美元的年利润和70亿美元有形资产，运营效率也在3G 资本的管理下有所提升。然而，更大的挑战来自零售端 ，Costco 的自有品牌 Kirkland 年销售额已达390亿美元，超过整个卡夫亨氏。亚马逊、沃尔玛等巨头正凭借渠道优势和自有品牌蚕食传统食品公司的定价权。巴菲特指出，品牌与零售商的博弈从未停止，但如今偏平已明显倾向后者。最终教训很简单，再好的企业买贵了就是失败的投资，而再差的价格也救不了一家没有竞争力的企业。对卡夫亨氏而言，护城河还在，只是没有以前那么宽了。
This question comes from Vincent James of Munich, Germany. There has been a lot written about the recent impairment charge at Kraft Heinz. You were quoted as stating that you recognize that Berkshire overpaid for Kraft Heinz. Clearly, major retail chains are being more aggressive in developing house brands. In addition, Amazon has announced intentions to launch grocery outlets, meaning that, as Mr. Bezos has often stated, your margin is my opportunity. The more fundamental question related to Kraft Heinz may be whether the advantages of the large brands and the zero-based budgeting that 3G has applied are appropriate and defensible at all in consumer foods. In other words, will traditional consumer good brands in general, and Kraft Heinz in particular, have any moat in their future? My question is, to what extent do the changing dynamics in the consumer food market change your view on the long-term potential for Kraft Heinz?
Yeah, actually what I said was we paid too much for Heinz. I mean Kraft, I'm sorry. The Heinz part of the transaction, when we originally owned about half of Heinz, we paid an appropriate price there, and we actually did well. We had some preferred redeemed and so on. We paid too much money for Kraft. To some extent, our own actions had driven up the prices. Now, Kraft Heinz, the profits of that business, $6 billion, we'll say very, very, very roughly. I'm not projecting them out. I'm not making forecasts, but $6 billion pre-tax on $7 billion of tangible assets is a wonderful business. But you can pay too much for a wonderful business. We bought See's Candy, and we made a great purchase as it turned out, and we could have paid more. But there's some price at which we could have bought even See's Candy, and it wouldn't have worked. So the business does not know how much you paid for it. I mean, it's going to earn based on its fundamentals, and we paid too much for the Kraft side of Kraft Heinz. Additionally, the profitability has basically been improved in those operations over the way they were operating before. But you're quite correct that Amazon itself has become a brand. Kirkland at Costco is a $39 billion brand. Now, all of Kraft Heinz does $26 billion, and it's been around for, on the Heinz side, it's been around for 150 years. And it's been advertised billions and billions of dollars in terms of their products, and they go through tens of thousands of outlets. And here's somebody like Costco establishes a brand called Kirkland, and it's doing $39 billion, more than virtually any food company. And that brand moves from product to product, which is terrific if a brand travels. I mean, Coca-Cola moves it from Coke to Cherry Coke and Coke Zero and so on. But to have a brand that can really move, and Kirkland does more business than Coca-Cola does. And Kirkland that operates through 775 or so stores, they call them warehouses at Costco, and Coca-Cola's through millions of distribution outlets. So brands, the retailer and the brands have always struggled as to who gets the upper hand in moving a product to the consumers. And there's no question in my mind that the position of the retailer relative to the brands, which varies enormously around the world in different countries. You've had 35%, even maybe 40% be private label brands in soft drinks, and it's never gotten anywhere close to that in the United States. So it varies a lot. But basically certain retailers, the retail system has gained some power, and particularly in the case of Amazon and Walmart in their reaction to it, and Costco, and Aldi and some others I can name, has gained in power relative to brands. Kraft Heinz is still doing very well operationally, but we paid too much. If we paid $50 billion, it would have been a different business. It'd still be earning the same amount. You can turn any investment into a bad deal by paying too much. What you can't do is turn any investment into a good deal by paying little, which is sort of how I started out in this world. But the idea of buying the cigar butts that have only got that are declining or poor businesses for a bargain price is not something that we try to do anymore. We try to buy good businesses at a decent price, and we made a mistake on the Kraft part of Kraft Heinz. Charlie?
Well, it's not a tragedy that out of two transactions, one worked wonderfully and the other didn't work so well. That happens.
The reduction in costs, there can always be mistakes made when you've got places and you're reorganizing them to do more business with the same number of people. And we like buying businesses that are efficient to start with, but it's the management, the operations of Kraft Heinz have been improved under the present management overall. But we paid a very high price in terms of the Kraft part. We paid an appropriate price in terms of Heinz.